right, so here we go. Since we are, Jordan, you was handling this one. What's my name? So I'm gonna put my name in here, right? And I need to do something else because I don't know if it's stored. How do Jordan, how do I know what's stored, and how can I check to see what's stored in that variable?
Do you run it?
I already ran it and I've
Oh,
already
okay.
put my name in it. So how can I test to make sure that's working correctly?
Mm,
Console log the variable. No,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Want to console? No, that's okay. We want to console log the variable. And we're not going to make anybody suffer here. If I see you can't answer it in a couple of seconds, I'm gonna jump in too.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, yeah.
Cause we'll be here all day if I'm so I ain't gonna make nobody suffer. And what you want to put inside there, Jordan, is the candidate name. Let me go ahead and copy that in, because sometimes you got to be specific. Can't say the word right, but because it'll give you error, it won't act right. Now, another thing I want to share with all of y'all, if y'all don't know this little button is a formatting button. You see how my code it looks off, right? My candidate name and my console.log are not lined up. You hit that button up there, it formats your code. Get in the habit of formatting your code because it has to be readable. So now, Jordan, if I run this, put my name in there, which I spelled it wrong. I know that it works, right?
Yep.
Another thing I want to test too, I want to do this. I want to test to see what the type it is. Typo. I'm going to call it typo. I guess I should spell it right? All right, so now when I run it, all right, it lets me know it's a string, right? So what if I did this, Jordan? All right, give me a number.
$17.
You want 17? Still a string, right, Jordan?
Yep.
Everybody sees this as a string, right? How can I convert that to a number?
Mm,
When I ask that, because I want it to be a number for a reason.
so do you change it to input dot number?
You're getting close. Let's do this. This is definitely, let me move this one over here for a second. Put it right there. All right. All right, I think we were here, right?
You gotta use the number function, right? As a function.
Correct. You want to use that number function. All right, let me see. Is this the one? Help me out, y'all.
4.2. 4.2.
4.2. All right. So in 4.2, wrong one. I hit the wrong one still. 4.2 type conversion. All right, you see the syntax, Jordan?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I can do this a couple of ways. I can do it this way, where I can change the convert. I can convert that number right here. If I go ahead and I create a console.log, and then I go ahead, let me do this. And then I go ahead and put the number function. This should work, right? This should convert that number 17 to a number, right?
Yep.
Okay, so it converted it to a number. So let's do this. It's important where the console.logs go. It's still a string, isn't it?
Because you didn't redeclare it or didn't.
That's okay. And this is why we're going to get this, because this is going to help you in the future, all of y'all. Understand what council.log. Remember the DOM reads top to bottom. It's hidden each one of these council.logs in order. The reason why now candidate name type up, I converted candidate name type up. If you read here, don't type conversions, it's telling you how it works. But then we want to be able to use it in different scenarios, right?
Mhm.
So, huh?
You didn't store it anywhere.
Yeah, that was so at 17 got stored in candidate's name. But where's the best place to convert? If I want to convert that string to a number, do I convert it at input or do I convert it later?
Where
You
are your
convert it at input.
There we go. I want to convert it at input, right? How do I do that?
So right after input dot question, in that first parentheses, you're going to do number.
In which parenthesis? Are we talking about on line 17?
Yeah, on line 17.
All right,
inside
where would I put
first
that?
Right there.
Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Right there?
And then another, put that in parentheses. Yep.
Okay, let me ask y'all, do everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all all like, yeah. I said that with confidence. Yeah.
I am not sure.
I don't agree.
Who was that? Esther?
Rhonda.
Yeah, I think
Rhonda. Okay.
yeah, I think there's another way of doing it.
All right, come on. This is where we get our debate going on. Come on, y'all. On one side, we have team said put the number function inside the question method. And then we have the team that said, I don't agree with that. And you know what? This is what we do as developers. When we're sitting back going over our stories and we're asking questions, and we call it sizing. Sizing means we put a number on a story to let us know the complexity of it. And some of us, when we come in and size, one person might size it at 8 and 3 other people size it at 5. 5 is complicated, but 8 is really complicated. The person with the 8, if he really feels or she feels strongly that this is too much hidden complexity, you got to explain why you think there's more complexity here. So let's explain it. So we finna let everybody give their reason what they think it should be done and how the output should turn out. So seeing that the first person that put that up there is Toomey. Toomey, explain your position. That's okay. You get so Toomey is somebody. James agreed with Toomey.
Well, here you're defining. I'm sorry. You're storing the value. I'm probably not using the terms correctly, but you're defining the variable as a number where it's been declared. Oh, now I'm confusing myself. No, I think it's there because that's essentially the answer to the empty string, which we've declared above. So that's where it's being defined. When the number, when the user enters that number, which until you put number in front of it was a string, you're now defining it as a number.
So you're saying you're defining the string.
Well, you're assigning the value. Is that the right way to say it?
Okay. You're learning your terminology. This is why this is good. This is good. All right. Rhonda, give us the opposite. Tell us why you don't agree with that.
I think that the number function, like input.question, should be inside of the number function because it'll turn the entire thing into a number instead of just the give me a number. Like, I feel like that doesn't make any sense.
Okay. All right. That'll make sense. And okay, so what you're saying is put the number function and put input question inside of the number function.
Correct. So it'll transform the thing, the function then.
Okay.
Can I offer an interesting counterpoint to that though?
Go ahead, Wesley.
Now I'm asking this. I know the answer, but I want to see if you know, just because I think this is a good exercise. Wouldn't putting the number function outside of the input question create some sort of error because you're trying to turn a string into a number?
What are you thinking? What are y'all thinking? Because I know what the answer is. I want
I'm gonna
to,
throw
Repeat the question again.
yeah,
I'm
Wesley.
sorry, you were talking about putting number outside of the input question. Like number should be the first thing in your eyes for this line 17 on the
Mhm.
initialization side. You're saying that number should go first. Wouldn't that counteract and like bash heads with the string that's in the input question? Because you're wanting to
No.
convert it into a number, but
The-
I think
I
there's a
don't.
better way to do this than what you guys are also saying. I don't know.
Okay.
Even my
I don't think it would affect it because the input is whatever the is going to be a number.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's reasonable.
Okay. Hey, this is
You
good,
already
y'all.
said that it's not a number. You put the number in, but it returns a value of a string.
Say it again, James.
We've already seen that the user is putting in a number, but the compiler, the computer reads it as a string.
When we had it set up, what is just input question by itself, when it says give me a number, it's going to put it in as a string when it's written that way. But what you're saying is that by putting the number inside of the question method, it's going to convert the number, give me a number. Is it converting the give me a number string, or is it going to convert the number that I input?
Right now, it should convert the string.
The string give me a number?
Right. So if we ran it, I would wonder if it would even come up as like undefined or an error as it's currently written. It's still going to give us, if we can enter it in, we're still going to get a string as an answer. I think Rhonda had it right, but I'm also not sure if we ever even need to convert it.
That was basically what I was getting at with my question too.
All right. You don't think you need to convert what?
The answer, like we could just use, soft equalities, or whenever we put in our answers, we just keep it as a string already. Rather than putting in 3 the number for the answer to the question, we put in 3 the string as the answer to the question whenever we get to that part.
Okay. But what if
we were just talking, I think we were just talking hypothetically, weren't we? If we were to.
Yeah, well, one of the things and this is a good thing because you guys are talking through it. You're really dissecting this and you guys are coming up with good points. But in the end, it's all about the results. Now, Chris, one of the things that I want to point out to you, but what if your program is requiring you to have that number from the beginning? You can't compare it later on. It has to be converted.
Well, then, if we're going to do that, I would think the number, and then inside, number function inside of it, we need to run the entirety of the input.question thing before we convert it. We don't want to do any conversion in the middle. So the conversion's got to happen after. And in these, functions and declarations, we're kind of working inside out. So, the give me, the inside of the question function will go first. And then the number function. So it's going to try to convert, give me a number to a string, and it's going to, or to a number, and it's probably going to give us undefined, or I'm not sure exactly what would pop back, but it won't be a number, or at least not the number we're looking for.
When you talking about if we put the input question inside the number function, it won't be a number?
If the way that you have it typed out right now.
Okay, the way that we have it right now. So the result, I got to give Toomey, can you talk now?
Yeah, I can talk.
Yeah, Toomey, give us your position.
I'm ready to backtrack that spot.
You ready? You said, wait a minute. I think I remember now how it works. And this little exercise we're doing, everyone, this is what I mean by not memorizing syntax. You want to understand what it is doing, and then you'll be able to solve them every time you come across them. So all right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run this the way it is, and we're going to see what the output is. Now, some of you have already predict what the output is, and maybe you predicted it because you understand it. Maybe you predicted it because you're guessing. Well, what we want to do is we want to be confident and when we get our results, when we get our output. So here I'm gonna run it. Not a number. So what got converted? What got converted?
The string.
A number.
Yeah,
So
give me a
we need
number.
to do that above where we've defined the variable with the empty string. We need to put probably the number function up there where the answer is from the user is coming on line 6.
So you saying up in the candidate's name, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, that's my guess, but I don't know.
All right. Well, that's an easier way. And Rhonda was in the right direction.
Okay, maybe, and if, for example, up there we're supposed to have the candidate name with an empty string, does it mean that later we can give it different values? Because I was thinking that for us to specify that we want the candidate name to come in a number, then where we are putting in the question is where we should start with number to tell the coder that we want the answer to come in a number.
You are, if we were using statically typed language like Java, you're correct. But in JavaScript, we can reassign a variable with a different value.
I was gonna say, I know that as far as like my solution, it wasn't concise, but I added a line between line 17 and 18. And I know it's not like the ideal one, but I would do candidate name again, and then set that equal to number of candidate name. So set it equal to the number function of itself, essentially.
So how about I write that candidate name?
Number
what?
Number parentheses candidate name.
Okay, so you want me to go and put the function right there?
Yeah. And then
let me copy this because I get it's hard typing when people
yeah,
looking
no,
at
I
you.
understand.
It's hard typing. Okay, so that's one way.
It's not as concise, but it is much more clear what it is doing, and the process of how it's doing it, in my opinion, makes it work out.
Okay, well let's see that. Let's see that. So I'm gonna put an 8 in there. Look at that. That's one way of doing it. You see what he did? So what he did was he reassigned the variable, because you could use these variables over and over again. So and remember, it reads from top to bottom. It reads line 17. So that's why it prompted me, because it came first. Now let me do this, because it's important on what order you put things. So let me put this in a different order.
That's what I was kind of getting at. Could you not do that on line 6?
No, because of order of operations, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Like reading top to bottom, like he was saying.
So now if I read this, what will happen? What would be the outcome if I do that first? If I put a candidate name number before the input?
Will you get not a number?
Let's see. So it goes to it. So it skipped right over it, didn't it? Because it still went to give me a number. But these console.logs ran after it. Didn't even, this one right here, it really didn't, it did something, but you didn't see it. So it makes a difference what order things are put in. Now, but what I want to show you, this right here is a little extra work, 18. It works, but it's as you get better at writing code, you want to make everything concise. So the one way that Rhonda was saying is actually the easier, the most efficient way. That's the most efficient way right there. And the reason for that is because input.question, remember, that's an object that has a method that deals with the question. That's what its job is. Its job is to prompt that user for a question. The number function is just conversion. It's converting all of that information. So how it works is if you're watching me, so when the compiler gets there and it reads that candidate name and it knows that, okay, we have a function here, we got a number function. I know I'm going to be converting something. So there's a whole lot of code written in that number function that you haven't written. So, but then it looks into it because this is an argument. It's given an argument. We haven't gone over arguments and doggone, what's the name of it? I'm drawing a blank this morning. Parameters. Functions have parameters. When you first set up your function, you give it parameters. Like you saying that I want a name parameter in there and I want a number parameter in there. So you put name and number. Those are just variables. That's what a parameter is. But when I go to invoke that function, I put a real name and a number in it. Those are arguments. So when I put a real name and an argument and a number in there, those are arguments. This is a argument. It's not it is not a parameter because it's coming to give a result. So that's how I know that's an argument, because this number function has already been created. It would have the parameter up front. So I'm invoking this number function and I'm passing it in this input dot question argument. And so now when it sees it, it knows to go ahead and run it. And then when I put in the number, it knows to store it. So line 17 is the most efficient way to write that. Line 18 works. It definitely works. But over time, as you get more confident in what you're doing, the more efficient your code would be. So like I said, Chris and Rhonda, the team, Chris, Rhonda, and all of you guys that saw it that way, that was the correct way of doing it. The other way was, like I said, when you put the number inside of the question, all you did was you called the function to convert a string. So it saw the input and it was like, and the compiler threw a run, it did a compile error or a runtime error. It runs, it was like, oh, that's not a number. That ain't right. It's not even a syntax error. That was a runtime error. So it ran everything out because the syntax was correct. So that's why it's not a syntax error. It was just that it wasn't the right, it was a runtime error. It wasn't going to run properly. And NaN is really a value. It did it. It's just not what we expected. So I guess you could say that's a logic error. Okay. So far, so good. All right. How we doing, everybody?
Good.